Good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Dr. Gill Barham, and I am the Miracle Molecule host. And today, this is my second light-hearted conversation, and I'm delighted to be able to introduce you to the amazing Sas Bullock. Hello.
Hello. Not so amazing with technology.
No. Fortunately, we've had teenagers involved, or one teenager involved, helping out the technology bit. Thank goodness for them. That's all I can say.
Yes.
So, Sas, I'm very, very happy to welcome you. You're actually, I think, my 50th interview.
50? Wow.
Yeah.
You've done prolific work there, Jill.
I know. So tomorrow is my last interview in the series. I'm interviewing Camilla Christensen tomorrow from Norway, and she's my last one in a series of 52 because I'm the 52nd. And just to say that all of our interviews, or the top interviews, are being transcribed into a book that is going around the world in 80 days from next October to December, following the Jules Verne route. Which is really, really exciting. So, as I say, I'm delighted to be able to include Sas in this project because it's something that's very dear to my heart and something that I know is going to make a difference and help people to shine in the world. That's the whole idea. So, Sas, before we get going on my light-hearted conversation, what I'd like to do is to tell everybody, in case they don't know you, what it is you do. So we're going to talk business at the beginning and the end of the call, but in the middle of it, it's all about you. So for the first little few minutes, I'm going to let you talk about what you do and how you help people.
Well, to put it in a nutshell, so that I don't go on and on and on and write a book for myself, I actually help people change states. So I'm a state changer. So a lot of people get into situations where they feel very morose, very sad, very depressed about life because, let's face it, it is quite a challenge for most people. So it's really, how do you move out of those particular states to embrace what I call a higher vibration? And I've been on a very long journey to find all sorts of different ways for myself to change states. So everything from using aromatherapy oils to holistic treatments to massage to what I'm currently working a lot with now, which is sound and vibration and frequency. I truly have sort of worked out for myself that we are all energy. We are all vibrating. Our thoughts are vibrational, so whatever we're thinking and choosing to focus on is sending out a signal into the world, and the universe responds back to us. Also, we are sending out our emotions, our feelings. They carry an energetic frequency, and our physical well-being, and so all of those aspects of us are sending out messages to the world and creating the world as we know it in our experience. So if you want to change what's out there, we have to go within and find what we're vibrating. So it's a way of accessing aspects of yourself that is your innate wisdom. Opening up the heart, as I say, is the secret chamber to your divine instrument, is your voice, to access those parts of us that are quite often hidden and get overridden by our very active, chattery, agitated minds.
Monkey brain.
Well, you could call it the monkey brain. I call it the chattering brain, the non-stop thoughts that are constantly arising from our programming, our conditioning, and so yes, they go on and on and on and on and on. And so I say, don't tune into the mind too much. Just use it as a tool to help us operate in the world. To drive a car, we need the mind, we need the brain, but most of the time we can access our greater wisdom through the master of the heart. So I found a way of doing that for myself and bringing him out of my mind and into my physical body, where I can feel sensations. I track what I'm thinking, I witness what I'm thinking, and the easiest way I found to help people do that, to close down the mind and to access a deeper vibration and the physical body and the feelings that you have there, is through sound, frequency and vibration. And then they can find out what they're resonating at and why maybe their life is turning up the way it is.
Fabulous. And just to say that I've experienced a little bit of Sas doing this actually as part of a shamanic healing session. And Sas knows this, and I'm sure that anybody who's watched this program before knows that sound and music and all of that kind of thing is really important to me as a musician, as a singer. So I resonate, ha ha, excuse the pun, with what Sas does on a big time. So thank you very much for sharing that, and I'm going to give you the opportunity at the end, Sas.
You're welcome.
To talk a little bit more about that and what is coming up for you and what you're doing and all the exciting things that I know is happening for you. But the rest of this call is all about you, darling.
Okay. Well, let's see what I've got deep down about I could share with you that would be of interesting. But yes, if you fire your questions at me, I'll do my best to.
You will. You'll know all the answers. So just to tell anybody, in case you haven't watched any of these programs before, is this series of interviews and the subsequent book is based on one of my very favourite BBC shows, Desert Island Discs. Do you know? Are you familiar with that?
I am indeed. Yes.
Yeah. So it's been running for a gazillion years on BBC Radio 4, and it's had, in all that time, it's only had 3 presenters. And I love it because it features a different person every week, and they can be from any walk of life, anything and everything. And what it allows you to do as the listener is to connect with that person, kind of away from their persona on the television or on the sports field or as a scientist or whatever it is. And what I wanted to be able to do with this series was to give a platform for people like yourself, who are people of significance, who are making a real difference in people's lives in the world. The same opportunity to create that extra little bit of connection, because on the basis that we all know, or I hope you'll agree with me, that people are much more likely to want to work with you and connect with you once they know, love and trust you. Would you agree?
Yes, I would say probably the most important thing is helping people feel safe, to be able to be themselves and to let that neurological defense mechanism of the personality to drop. So it's actually interesting that your brain changes state if you are feeling safe. So it moves from, you call it the monkey mind, I call it the reptilian brain, which is defending and protecting and keeping a very close eye on what's going on. So that's where the sort of personality is to cover up the true essence, which may be very vulnerable. Okay. So your actual front of your brain, opens up, and you can feel safe and become more responsive.
Well, if we can do that for a few more people today, by allowing them just a little bit of glimpses of Sas Bullock and a few. So what happens here? Have you seen any of the other shows, Sas?
I've seen a few.
You've seen a few. Okay, so the signal your end's not great. So Sas, if you drop off, just go out and come back in again. If we do get a little bit of problem, you've frozen for now. So just talk to me. Tell me that you can hear me. Yeah, I know that. Oh, here we go. Hi, Sas.
Hi.
I just lost you there for a minute. I'm just saying, if you freeze and your signal goes out, just go out and come back in again. Just as a little tip, just come back into the link. Okay, so we're going to start with our light-hearted conversation. So all of these questions are designed to for you to just be very spontaneous and shoot from the hip, as it were. Okay, so I've got some quick fire questions and a couple of scenarios. So we're going to start with a scenario first. So I'd like you to imagine, please, that you're in a very lovely hotel somewhere of your choosing, and you're going up to the top floor in the lift or the elevator, whichever you want to choose. And you get into the ground floor of the lift. One other person gets into the lift with you. And as you're going up to the very lovely restaurant at the top to have your lunch, unfortunately, the lift breaks down between 2 floors. Now, there's good news and bad news here. The bad news is that you get a call from the engineers to say you're going to be in there for 2 or 3 hours.
Claustrophobia.
But the good news is that there are windows in this lift, so you're not going to get claustrophobic. Hurrah. And the other bit of good news, is that good? And the other bit of good news is that you also get to choose who the other person is that you got into the lift with that morning.
Okay.
So of anybody that you know, dead or alive, who would you love to spend 2 or 3 hours with to find out all those things that you've ever wanted to ask, to spend some time with? Who would that person be?
I think you'd have to be Nikola Tesla.
Oh, Mr. Tesla.
Yes. To probe him about all his interesting secrets on energy and vibration, and yes, and how to move through space and time. Yes.
Yeah.
So I find him absolutely fascinating.
I think you're probably the second person that's chose Tesla. I've had a couple of Elon Musks as well.
Elon Musk's.
Yeah, along the same vein. You know, he's the guy that's going to get us all into SpaceX, the SpaceX guy and the Tesla guy. He's very, very similar. So yeah, I think you're the second Tesla guy. So what else would you want to know from him?
What went on with his inventions? What was the truth about what happened when he invented the energy machine, which could harness the chi, the life force energy? What actually happened with all of that? What does he feel really happened? The truth about his inventions and why they aren't widely used in the world today for us all to benefit from free energy and free clean energy at that as well. So it drives me mad, you see, when I hear about everybody going on about all our resources being used up on the planet and all the fossil fuels and how we're going to, you know, set up new nuclear waste, nuclear plants and all that kind of thing. And I just think, well, it's ridiculous because there isn't, you know, somebody who created the technology for having clean energy and free for everybody. So we know why. Obviously, it's not available, but I wanted to find out his story. His story as to what went on.
Do you believe that he is spiritual and knows it or doesn't know it? What do you think about that?
I think he just had an amazing, brilliant mind that was very, very focused on the intricacies of technology and going into things in a minute fashion. I'm not sure that he was aware that maybe he was being directed by source energy. I don't think that he was aware of that, but maybe that's what I'm saying. Looking back on it now, if he could come into this 2017, what would he have to say about, you know, where he was then?
I don't know if you know, but I was just in Croatia with a group of transformational leaders, and Marie Diamond, you know, the secret behind the secret. Marie Diamond was it's her group, and on her way back to Zagreb, I think it was Zagreb. We were in Zadar, and she actually stopped at the museum for Tesla. She stopped and she visited the place for the afternoon. So I must ask her actually. Well, in fact, she's going to be at the launch of this book in November at the event, the Stardust Awards. So hopefully you can come along and then you can ask her yourself.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, and that was in Croatia.
Yeah, what she discovered. Yeah, because he's So really interesting.
Why I've always wanted to go there anyway.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. Okay, so now you and Mr. Tesla we're on your way to lunch, so you're hungry. So what I'd like you to share with us is I'm going to magic you up not only some windows, so you're not claustrophobic, as you say, but I'm going to magic you up a lovely table and chairs and some lovely linen and china and all the rest of it. And I'm also
fabulous.
Yeah, I'm going to magic you up also your favourite food, like Harry Potter. So what food would you share with Tesla, Mr. Tesla? What do you like to eat and drink?
Would that be the first course or the second course?
All of them. I've got
all of them.
Some people have given me 5 courses, so I'm on it, girl. You can just tell me exactly what you'd eat.
Well, I know what I'd probably go for. The main course would have to be a salmon dish with sun-dried tomatoes and maybe some beautiful tomato red pesto, all enveloped in a very juicy puff pastry, with some asparagus tips in melted butter and a little balsamic vinegar, and probably some sauteed potatoes, very thinly done. So lightly sauteed and very crispy.
I love the picture that you're painting for us. You're obviously a foodie like me.
I do love food, good food. Yes, I have to say. So yes, you're whetting my appetite here,
You're wetting
and I
mine.
feel. So I think yes, and I'd have to have a lovely, beautiful, crisp glass of white wine, possibly even a Chardonnay of some kind, um, and followed by. Well, my favourite pudding is actually creme brulee, and that's the only thing that can tempt me into it. But I don't know what I'm getting is strawberry pavlova.
Oh.
I'm absolutely getting that big meringue, all sort of, and it's all sort of chewy and
Yeah.
that gorgeous sort of, the combination of the strawberries and the whipped cream and the chewy meringue. And I'm feeling that would go very well with wherever we are in this restaurant.
Mm.
But I could probably go for 2 puddings and forget the starter.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go for a creme caramel and a strawberry
Creme
pavlova.
brulee and strawberry. Well, just to tell you that my husband says that I make the best creme caramel in the world, and there's a kind of rating. So if we go and we have a creme caramel everywhere
Oh,
else, there's a kind of creme brulee rather. Then there's a kind of
yes.
rating. Is it how does it compare to my creme brulees? There you go. And I
I
also
think
make
I've had the most.
pavlova.
I had the most fantastic creme brulee. Probably the best I've ever had was actually in this beautiful converted convent in the Amalfi Coast.
Wow.
And we'd planned, as a boyfriend of mine had planned to go to this restaurant, but because there was the most amazing thunder and lightning storm that was so dramatic, you couldn't go anywhere. Fork lightning was coming through the windows. They said, we don't think that it's safe for you to go out. So everybody else was gone from this restaurant, and we were the only people in there. And they had the whole of the staff of 10 chefs, and they literally were just. This is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever experienced. And they actually were just bringing out all these dishes. So we've got all these dishes, and no one else here to eat it. So they just kept bringing dish after dish after dish, and one of them was a creme brulee, and it was the most delicious creme brulee. Meanwhile, fork lightning and thunder and rain, absolutely torrential. It was the most romantic, dramatic experience. And the most delicious food. And I just remember now, I've got pictures of the chef, just literally, I'm just thinking, I feel like a queen. I am one, obviously, a complete goddess, but this particular time I absolutely was embodying this amazing sort of service and food that was just coming out. And I was stuffed for about 2 days. So, yes, I can just visualize going back there right now. So,
what
yes,
an
I'd
amazing
recommend.
story. That's incredible. In fact, Marina's on the line and she's saying you are Stardust, Sas, so she knows that you're a goddess as well. There you go.
Well, thank you, Marina. You darling, you.
Okay. So now what I'm going to do, thank you for sharing that with us, by the way. And I'm
You're
probably going to
welcome.
sneak in and share your lovely food with you. Now what I'd like to do, though, is take you back to the 18-year-old Sas. So would you share with us a little bit about what Sas was doing at 18, where you were living? What was happening for you then?
Okay, 18. Well, I just finished doing my A-levels, and I was going into a long summer of love, and passed my driving test in the summer of being 18. I'd taken it when I was 17 and failed the first time. I don't know how I managed that. They're complete idiots, some of these driving instructors. In fact, I was told, I hope you don't get the man that was knocked over by a woman and then fails every single one of them. He's only got half a leg. And unfortunately, I saw this man limping behind me. He was coming to get into the car. And I thought, no. But anyway, I eventually got through, and when I was 18, and I was all very excited because I just got a place at drama school. There were 3 places left when I went to audition, and both myself and my bestest friend ever in the world, we both got into the drama school on the same day. So I was very, very excited because it was a complete and utter opposite to what what I'd experienced growing up, which was a lovely little independent girls' school. And it was all very twee and very well looked after, and you didn't have any harshness of life. You were all protected from that. And I suddenly thought, if I want to be an actress, I think I need to experience a different side of life. And so even though I'd auditioned for lots of other drama schools and been offered a place at Bristol Old Vic, I decided I wanted to go to somewhere where there was going to be a cross-section of people from all walks of life. Well, it was an eye-opener, I can tell you. So I ended up doing 3 years at a place called, it doesn't exist anymore, it was the Old Armchair Theatre in Didsbury. and it converted into a drama school. And the only way they could get funding, because it's all private then, drama schools, so everybody was all very radified, as I call it. So everybody came out with the same BBC voice, and you know, with RP, and there was nobody that was kind of from the other side of life, if you get my meaning. So I was very intrigued to find out how other people live, other than my close knit, sort of very protected life.
Where was that? Where were you brought up?
I was brought up in Cheshire, in Macclesfield in Cheshire.
Macclesfield.
Born and bred in Macclesfield. I'm a Mac lass. So I went to school in Audley Edge. It doesn't exist now, the school, anymore, but we used to literally, I'll give you a little flavour of it. We used to have to traipse down the high street about 4 times a term with our boaters, our straw boaters on our hat, in crocodile fashion, making sure that we didn't misbehave. Of course, I was always one of these naughty ones that always misbehaved. But I enjoyed, and obviously taking me back to where I am now, I really enjoyed being in the choir and singing, and was in fact on very strict instruction from my parents that they were taken into school. And they said, we'd love to make Sarah head of choir, but she's got to behave herself because the whole school will be looking at her, and all the parents and all the people from the W.O.R.K.S Foundation, because it was a sort of quite a religious school, and all sort of high churchy, that if she's going to be walking down the aisle at the church representing the school and the W.O.R.K.S Foundation, she needs to A, look at the way she dresses, B, the way she holds herself, and some of the language that comes out of my mouth, and some of the sort of very light-hearted jesting that she does. So I was always in trouble at school. But anyway, my parents sort of said, yes, I'm sure she'll be, a fantastic representative of the school, fingers crossed. And so we used to walk down every day. And so from that experience, I wanted to experience something other than that. So I ended up auditioning. I had a mentor at the time who had a great faith in me and said, I'd like to mentor her to get into this school. It's quite exclusive in terms of the backgrounds that people have. They only take people from selective different backgrounds, so they're not going to take everybody all from the same background like they do at other drama schools. So anyhow, I ended up going to this. It was called the Manchester Polytechnic School of Theatre. And they did it very sneakily, and they could fund people from not particularly wealthy backgrounds, because they were part of the Polytechnic. That's how they got around it. But they were an independent drama school, and it was the most amazing experience I had. I got in trouble there as well. It was very, very tentative whether I was going to be allowed to stay on there because I was very rebellious. But yeah, no, had a great time. So that's where I started out. That was my first joy in life, my first passion, my first love was being in the theatre, and I'd absolutely loved embodying all these different characters, and the range of emotions that I could tap into was it's like I had a very wide
like a sweet shop
of things to tap into. So yes, sorry. I lost my iPad along the way.
Like a sweet shop.
Yes, it was absolutely fantastic. So that was 18 till I was 21.
And what were you listening to at 18? What music were you listening to?
I was listening to I was influenced by my boyfriend at the time, because I didn't have a huge range. My mother used to listen to the Carpenters, Tom Jones. So I loved all of that stuff, I must admit. But then I was sort of introduced to the punk era, and Ramones and Blondie and the Undertones. What else was going on around at that time? All of that kind of, yes, very high energy. So yeah, I loved high energy music. I loved the Communards. That kind of, high energy music I used to love at the time.
Okay, fabulous. So all right, so thank you very much for that. So now we're going to take a bit of a leap, because I want you to tell us, just tip your thing forward. I've lost the bottom of your face, or come forward a bit, Sas, that's better.
Delicately.
That's fine, thank you. So now we're going to take a bit of a leap forward to the 35-year-old Sas.
35.
So what's happening at 35?
Okay, that was crisis mode, I think. 35. I'd had yes, very interesting story. Up until then, I was actually working in the theatre, and I fell in love with a highly unsuitable person and ended up having we weren't going to have a family because he told me he he was never going to be able to have children. So I thought, oh, well, I'm not particularly interested right now. This is when I was in sort of 30, 31. But went on to have 2 children in 18 months with him. And it was such a shock that he lost his mind and disappeared and went to live with the Bedouins in a place called Abu Kaloum. And so he disappeared, leaving me with 2 young children. And so I had to withdraw, and I had to sort of decide what I was going to do. So I was living in London at the time. And that's when I literally connected to all my kind of more spiritual stuff, because I had to go within, because there was nothing going on without, apart from chaos and total sort of disarray, because it's something I'd never experienced, or something I've never ever even contemplated, having children and not having somebody to support me or be in a family scenario. So I then moved back up to the north, and I retrained as a holistic therapist. Now, what was really interesting is I came back up to Macclesfield, and everyone was going to say, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive? It's all very glum and serious. And I went, well, I don't really know. But I just started in London before I had the children. Somebody gave me a book called Zone Therapy, and it started talking about how the royal family used all this different energy, working with energy lines and homeopathy and all these different. And I thought, well, if it's good enough for the blooming royals, I think maybe I need to look into it, because they're obviously going to go for what's the best possible available treatments or preventative healthcare. So I really got into this zone therapy, and then it sort of turned into reflexology, and I started trying out all these different therapies. And I've been working for a magazine just before I was 35 called Catalyst. And I got paid to go and experience lots of different new age type things that were just emerging at the time, because we're talking about the early 90s here, late 80s, early 90s, and or middle 90s. And so I used to have to go off and go into a flotation tank and then write up on it about what it's like to be totally cut off from everything. So all of this had set me on this pathway of, there are lots of other things in this world that I hadn't experienced. And then somebody gave me a book by Gill Barham called Prophet, and that set me on another pathway. And then interviewing all these amazing people that were sort of pioneers of the new age, if you like. So I got a fantastic experience. So when I got back to Macclesfield, I thought, what I want to do is I want to be able to offer people modalities of healing, that catalysts for healing, that would be very helpful. But they're all private courses, and I'm not in a position. I have 2 young children, no income. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So, but this is what I want, and not just one. I'd like to do all of them, so you give people a choice. So I walked into the careers advice office in Macclesfield. They said, hello, dear. Oh, well, we normally deal with students who are kind of leaving school. And I said, well, I'm just seeing what's available on different courses and things. And they asked me what I wanted. And I said, what I'd really love is a holistic therapy course that included this, that, and the other. Massage, aromatherapy, reflexology, any kind of shamanism type thing, which I'd heard about and got involved a little bit of taste in when I was in London. And she looked at me and she kind of laughed and went, oh dear, we don't have anything like that kind of thing. She said, no. She said, I've heard of aromatherapy kind of thing. But it was like something from a different world, out of space, I think she thought it was. So she said, well, I'll have a look for you, dear, but I wouldn't hold out much hope. Maybe you're better looking at a training course in the retail industry or something like that. So anyway, then the very next day I got a phone call from the same woman. She said, I don't know what's going on, she said, but it's very strange. She said, this morning I got a letter from a college in Sale, which is near Manchester, one of the suburbs in Manchester.
I've been to Sale.
And she said, there's a new course being set up at Sale College, and she said it's called a holistic therapist course. And you know all those things you mentioned, it includes all of those. She said, how very weird is that? And she said, also, it's for free. You can go for free. I went, really? I said, no, what about my 2 young children? And she said, well, what's really weird, I investigated, because obviously I know you've got 2 young children. She said they set up a nursery.
They've got a crash.
And they can give you free place for your daughters as well. I went, yes. So that is what I did. I'm not saying it's easy, but I had to drag these 2 young children out. One was about 7 months old, and the other was just, well, about 2. and get them up and drive from Macclesfield with all the traffic. I had
Sale.
to drive past the college I was going to Sale, drop them off, leave them screaming, you know, sort of unpeeling them from me as I was trying to head off to meet and greet a client that would be waiting for me to come and relax them. As I'm trying to clear the vomit from my daughter, who used to be sick every morning in the car because she didn't like travelling, and spraying myself with aromatherapy spray, thinking, saying to my tutor, do I stink of vomit, or am I okay to go in? That kind of thing. And but luckily I'd had the theatre training, so I was very good at acting and acting being calm.
There you go. That was what that was all about, clearly.
Absolutely, yes, and it's been very, very handy ever since, I have to say, with a lot of things I'm doing. So that was a full 2 years, and all those things that I wanted to do. So that's where I got started on the holistic side of life. And then I started working in a so I was 35. I was working. Somebody who I knew was very, very ill, and so I introduced them to the art of aromatherapy, because she was told she was going to die. She'd either will recover, but they didn't know whether she would or she'd die. So she said, they've got nothing to offer me. So I said, oh, why don't I try some of this aromatherapy? She said, well, I'll try anything. So she tried having a few treatments, and she said, oh, don't go back to London, don't go back to London. I said, I've got to sort of tidy up all my life down there. And she said, well, I don't know whether there's anybody up here that does it. Anyway, she managed to find somebody and continue on the treatment. And she promised that if she got herself well, she'd set up this first ever walk-in holistic therapy clinic in Alderley Edge. And she got well, she got better. Found out that her husband was trying to poison her with a new form of medication. And I said, why did you just annul the marriage? I mean, rather than try and kill you off. Anyway, it turned out these, I'm not joking, these tablets had caused such damage to her body that it was like her body was going into shutdown.
Wow.
But anyway, the aromatherapy, I know, it was amazing. And so she promised that she'd set up this clinic, which she did. And it was the first sort of a pioneering where people would just walk in, come in with all their ailments, and you would literally be trained. I was trained by all the reps from all the sort of top companies in nutrition and in herbs. And obviously I was trained aromatherapist and reflexologist and did shiatsu and all sorts of things. So we literally used to put programs together for people. And what was really interesting is that one of our biggest clients used to be a major drugs company that are local to this area. And all their management staff went down with really serious ailments. Interesting. And the chief medical officer of this establishment, which was, you know, I won't say who they are, but used to send all his top management staff to try and deal with these chronic illnesses they asked to this clinic. And they all had, it turned out, they all had lots of different symptoms, but it turned out when you looked at the underneath it all turned out to be the same thing. And it was like modern day, related to all the modern day stresses that we live in and the chronic food that we're given, all the inflammation in the body, which you all know about, don't you, Jill? So it was like the start of this amazing journey about how, you know, but these people, they got well. Yeah. And so I worked there for about 3 years. It was a very amazing eye-opener. Even people would have accidents outside in the car, you know, there'd be car accidents, you'd hear people smashing, and then come running into the shop and say, can you help us? Are you a medical team? We said, well, no, we're not a medical team, but I've got some rescue remedy if you're in shock. Yeah. And they used to go, oh, and then they, you know, they used to come back with all their friends and say, God, this woman gave me some of this stuff, and it just like completely sorted me out. So it was so that's what I was doing around about when I was 35. It's
really interesting, Sas, because, you know, I've done, as you know, so many interviews now, and I don't know where I got the idea for that question from. Well, I do, because it was the universe. But 35 is, for at least 90% of the people that I ask, is a pivotal year. It's a real pivotal time in their lives. Really interesting. Really interesting. So thank you for sharing all that. That's amazing. Because nowadays, you know, particularly us in this field, this is kind of just what we do and it's what we know. But of course, we forget that actually all that complementary and holistic or alternate therapies, you know, for a lot of people is still a bit of a mystery. And of course, you and I are the evolutionaries, you know, in some senses, in that we're trying just to get all of this information out to the masses, so that people can have more control over you know, their current and their future health, which I think is really
definitely
important.
That's what my main thing is, empowerment. And I must admit, I've probably spent from a very early age being, as you probably were aware, it's like you had an inkling when I was on the very young, from a very early age, that there was something that wasn't right on this planet. It came to me as soon as I was conscious. From about the age of 4 or 5, I used to think there's something not quite right with this planet, and I felt I was here for a mission, but I couldn't work out what it is. Obviously, I've gone down all sorts of avenues and all sorts of by roads and highways to, you know, as a sort of seeker, knowing that what am I here for? And I suppose all of it's relevant. Every part you've done, all the traumas, all the, you know, things that have happened, that maybe if I carried on a pathway that hopefully my parents were setting me on, which was one of peace and bliss and being looked after, and probably none of the stresses that I would have had, you know, I could have gone down that easier route. But for something wouldn't have let me. Something kept pulling me into the opposite direction. And sometimes I used to think, why have I done this? Why me? It's so easy. I mean, I look at lots of other people in my same, you know, who were growing up around the same time as me, and I'm the kind of only one that's gone down this route.
But I don't know a healer, I don't know a heart-centered business owner, I don't know anybody that's working in our field that hasn't come from a similar or some sort of place where clearly, you know, that's what makes us, I think, so good at what we do. And it's not about qualifications. People get a bit hung up with those. I've got qualifications. I've been to the university. I've got a degree. I've got an RGN. But the most important work that I do is using what I've learned about my own body and myself to help other people. Would you agree?
Yeah, the experiences I've gone through, I think if I'd sailed through life, I wouldn't have been looking, because I wouldn't have needed to. Because obviously going down the route of being an actress and feeling very passionate, I've always wanted to, that's always what I knew I wanted to do. So there was a huge disappointment, but I kept getting this message saying, if you're looking for recognition on the outside, or you go down this route, not only are you going to be involved in an industry that is very unhealthy in many ways, but also you won't be going on the inward journey. So I was literally turned around in my tracks. Now, had I not had the situation having 2 children and been left, I may have carried down that, would have gone down that route, and maybe become a vicar's wife or something like that, and been able to have lovely tea parties and enjoy the sort of more refined things in life.
Can't quite see that, Sas, to be honest.
You see me as a vicar's wife.
No.
I think that's it. I think I've got another life going on somewhere where I am a vicar's wife, just handing out cucumber sandwiches and tea. And playing around the piano, nice little songs, but not the ones I'm consciously aware of.
No. Brilliant. And a lot of kind of similar things that have happened to me as well, because, you know, I was a singer and I studied music and did some acting at university.
Jill.
Oh, didn't you know that?
No.
Yeah, so I played classical guitar from when I was 8 and studied singing, so I was always the star of the show. And forever, people always said to me, why are you not on the television? You know, why are you not in that Opportunity Knocks, as it was, or Stars on the Rise? Or now they still say, why are you not on the X Factor thing? And I've never, ever wanted to have that kind of visual exposure. I'm quite happy to do things. I was quite happy to do things on radio or whatever, but I didn't want the visual exposure. But the irony is now, of course, my face is all over the place. But that's because I'm comfortable now, because it's not about me. You know, I'm only visual because I need to be able to be seen in order to express my message, if you like, and live my purpose. So it's a really interesting journey. But of course, all the things that I did as a performer and still perform have helped me to be able to be comfortable in the space of, you know, giving talks and doing radio shows and things. So it's quite similar, I think, to your experience too, I guess.
And helping people as well, because what I found through life is probably the greatest I've been given. Are you still there? Without confidence, you can have every single degree and you know, qualification possible, but if you haven't got the confidence to be you, then you feel uncomfortable in the world. You don't really feel like you fitted in. And that's, I work with a lot of people who have been told that their voice is something that should be hidden and not seen at all or heard. And the confidence that comes from being able to just express all of who you are is probably the greatest gift you can give yourself.
Yes, but of course it also comes with criticism, doesn't it? You know, because as soon as you stand up and stand out, is that you have to accept that there'll be some people that don't like you, or that don't like what you say, or, you know, and therefore you are opening yourself up. And that was what's interesting about being a singer, or using your voice, as you know, is that actually that's the most exposure you can have in the world, is because it's not even an instrument. You know, playing the guitar or playing the fiddle is a very different thing, but actually singing is the most raw and bare way for you to expose your inner soul.
Well, it's an expression. It's carrying the expression of all of who you are.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to hide who you are, isn't it, when you're singing?
Yeah, that's very definitely. Yes. Okay, now you and I could talk all day about this, but we've got to get on with the show. So now I've got. Oh look, somebody's making nice comments. Sharing your unique Stardust gift is the greatest present you could gift the world with. I'm sure that's Marina posting that. So let's go to our quick fire round now. So these just are sort of an either or scenario. By the way, you've got this amazing light over the top of you. It's like it's quite incredible. Don't move, because it's like you're an angel. It's just incredible, the light that is shining behind you. So it's just beautiful. All right, so this is an either or thing. So do you prefer the TV or the radio?
TV.
Do you prefer non-fiction or fiction?
Non-fiction.
Are you the oldest, middle, or youngest child?
And the middle one.
Oh, okay. Now I know the answer to this, I think. So at school, were you the class clown, under the radar, a goody two shoes, or a bit of a handful?
Goody two shoes, of course. I lie. I was very disruptive, and
bit of a handful.
I was very entertaining.
Yes,
I like to entertain.
Okay, so a class clown and a bit of a handful, I'm guessing. All right, yes. And so what at the moment is your best habit, would you say, Sas?
My best habit? It's easy to think of all the bad ones, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I would say I've got into a very good habit of walking up hills, power walking, for at least half an hour every single day. And I'm in the nature, I'm in the countryside, so connecting to just the all that is. That's I'll say what was my greatest habit. Really.
And what about your worst habit then?
I'm trying to think what I've got. I'm giving them up slowly, bit by bit. It's a bit concerning, really. I was quite identified with my habits. So what was my worst habit? Probably nibbling on Hall's sweets.
Oh, okay.
When I gave up smoking, I found these eucalyptus sweets.
Yeah,
so
I know
they say your addictions move from one to the other. And I actually went into the co-op the other day, and the packet was empty, and I'd already told them it was empty so that they could reorder. And I noticed that they hadn't reordered, so I was quite stroppy and said, "You see this box I gave you last time? Did you not think to reorder before you run out? Because there was only 2 left." And they looked like me, these guys, and they said, "Oh," they went shuffling off. "We're going to have a look in the back and see if we've got any." And they came back and said, "I'm terribly sorry, I don't think we're going to get any more." And I went, "What do you mean not going to get any more? They're everywhere in Spain. I've just come back. They've got them everywhere." And then this woman came up to me, she said, "Don't worry, I've got a secret supply." And she went round the back and she had 2 boxes. I said, "Can you just keep them to one side?" So that is probably my worst habit at the moment, because obviously they've got sugar in them.
Yeah. So, well, sugar's more addictive than heroin, isn't it?
Well, yes, but it's cheaper.
Yes,
and I don't have to go and beat up old ladies to get hold of it.
Oh dear. Okay. So you've already mentioned one of the things, but so what do you do to relax? You said walking in nature. What else do you do to relax?
I do. I love my sounds. I love just being with people, sounding. That is probably the greatest thing. I've got a sound choir on tonight, and so toning with and creating harmony just naturally, without any prescriptive way of doing it, just sitting with people and just being. I love doing the Tao as well, you know, the Tao, talking about the Tao. So, and drumming. I go to a drum circle every other Thursday.
Just talk to everybody about what the Tao is, just in case they don't know.
Well, the Tao is it's an amazing system, really. And it's not even a system, it's just wisdom. All I can say is it's a guidance system of wisdom to understand who we are. And
it's one of the ways in which you work and help people.
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't know it was until I went to some of the Tao. We have a class of people that come together, well, a group of people that come together. I don't go all the time, but I just love it when I do. It feels so relaxing because it's so non-judgmental. It's not a religious system.
No. Okay,
it's just a wisdom system.
Finally, in my quick fire question, now you know I'm a singer. So if I was on stage and I was to drag you up on stage with me, what would be your karaoke song?
I'm quite fond of Hey Big Spender.
Ah, okay.
Probably influenced by my mother, who used to dance around the room singing it in a very loud voice. And so, yes, it's one of the faves is Hey Big Spender. Hey Big
Spender. Okay, fabulous. And I've got another scenario for you. So this time, this is based on an experience that I had a couple of years ago with my husband. We went off to America. We went to a wedding in Yellowstone Park, actually, and we built.
Oh, I've been there. It's great.
I know. We built a holiday, or actually, we had a travel consultant build a holiday around us. We went to 8 states, and we did 3,300 miles in a month. And apart from 7 hours one day when my husband took a Harley Davidson into the desert and I wandered around Las Vegas, that's a whole nother story. We were together for 24 hours a day for the whole time, and we didn't have a crossword between us at all. And we've been married for 35 years this year. So I'd like to know who you could spend a whole month with without having a crossword.
Oh. I'm not sure there is anybody I could think of that I wouldn't have a crossword with. I think I probably wind people up quite a lot. And so even though I might not have a crossword with them, they would definitely have a crossword with me. Probably the least antagonistic person that I antagonize the least is probably my elder sister, Claire.
Claire.
I think it's because she's known me from, obviously she was 3 years above me. And because of she was there first, she's probably got used to me more than anyone else. I've got a younger sister as well. We're quite fiery with each other at times, and we definitely for a month have a fiery word between us.
Okay, so but Claire's your best shot.
My elder sister is probably the only person I can think of.
Okay,
Claire's the best shot, but even she would find it a push, I think.
Okay, brilliant. And so I've already said that we're going to make. Have I said that we're going to make a book out of all of the
sounds fantastic. I must have missed that bit about the book when you first started doing all this.
It's all so I'm in the middle of it at the moment, so yours will go into the book as well. But at the same time I wanted to kind of harness the musical theme, because music is so important to me. Oh, Tor Bullock says thanks, Sas. Is Tor your younger sister?
Yes. Yes, she's my younger sister. I'm just being real, babe.
Sorry. Oops. So what I wanted to do was to keep to the music theme. So what I'm going to do is alongside the book, I'm also going to put a playlist together, and I'm asking each of my guests to choose one song that's going to go on my playlist, but it has to be a song that makes you feel light-hearted, or music, any kind of music.
Oh my goodness. You see, you did say not to prepare anything, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Straight from the heart.
What would need to go on my playlist? What would be my favourite song, light-hearted? Shine by Aswad.
Oh, okay. Brilliant. I haven't got that, so that's new. Brilliant. Okay.
Oh, you'll love it.
Yeah, no, I do know it, but I haven't got it on my list, so that's fabulous. I like having new things. All right, and then finally, before we just come back briefly to business at the end, this is kind of my most important question, if you like, because as you know,
oh, sounds very serious.
I'm all about the heart. And I don't know if you've got my book, Sas, The Heart of a Woman, How to Look After the Heart You Give to the World. You probably have somewhere. And so I'd like to know just finally what you do to look after the heart that you have, not only the heart that you have beating at 350 million times in a lifetime.
Oh my goodness.
But also the heart that you have to give to the world. So from a physical and an emotional point of view, how do you look after your heart? And, you know, I know that this is very relevant to you at the moment. Oh, Claire's going now, just tuned in to hear that I'm the least antagonistic person you know.
So they can fight it out, Tor and Claire. I don't know if that's not going to cause any conflict.
Yeah, we'll just let them
they know what I'm like.
Yeah, okay. So, from two aspects.
Okay, so one of the greatest gifts is following my heart, listening to my heart. I did train as a heart intelligence coach, which is how to become led by your heart. So I would say the greatest thing I do is listen to the quiet whisperings of my heart, which guide me and lead me in the direction of my joy and my purpose, and is on my connection to my source energy. So that's what I do on what I call a spiritual level, is to tune in and listen, and also the joy and laughter which comes from my heart, because that's just the real me, just not editing myself.
I think we can tell that. We've had a laugh today. Yeah, okay. And the new you from a physical point of view. So you walking.
The new you for me is, yes, I do lots of walking. I gave up 30 years of smoking. So in respect for wanting to keep alive and having a bit of a what's the word?
Scare.
A bit of a nudge, a bit of a scare in that department. Yes. So I eat lots of cacao, raw cacao, to keep my heart open. Lots of almonds, and so mainly with diet I look and exercise. I love stretching and doing yoga and walking, and literally I feel if I listen to my heart, listen to what it's trying to tell me, it'll guide me on a physical level what I need to do. So movement as well, movement and energy, and getting the flow of blood through my heart. So I'm loving doing the exercises, walking up the hills, because I can feel the heart beating, and then I know I'm alive. So that is the greatest gift, I suppose, isn't it? Knowing you're alive with your heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for sharing all of that. Before we end, thank you very much for our light-hearted conversation. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's not been 40 minutes, has it?
It's been an hour actually. We've really gone over. Yeah. So, but before
I think you could take it from Piers Morgan actually. So well done you.
But before we end, it's really important that you tell us briefly what's coming up for you. I've got some great news for you in that you've been nominated for a Stardust Award for the Radio Works World for the work that you do in the world. So well done on your nomination. So we'll be in touch with you about all of that. And so we're going to be awarding the winners at the Stardust event in November on the 18th and 19th. That's the one that Marie Diamond's coming to. She's giving the keynote speech on the Sunday, by the way. We're inviting a few of the survivors of the Grenfell Tower. They're our VIP guests, because Radio Works World are very much about supporting not only people that have a story to tell in the world, but everybody that can make a difference. And of course, those people have real stories to tell, don't they? And it's about really paying it forward for Radio Works World. And so all the people that work within the platform are very dedicated to that kind of vision and support and help. So hopefully we'll see you on the red carpet, and if you come, you've got to wear something really glittery, just to say, because it's the most sparkly and glittery event that you've ever
is
been.
It?
Yeah, it's the Royal Horse Guards Hotel in London, Whitehall.
I think I've seen you in your glittery outfits, and I'm not sure I can match up to those.
No, I'll lend you one. So, but before we go, I'm not sure if my posts are going on to. Normally, what happens is when I'm posting that, I should be able to post to your Facebook page so people can get a hold of you. So I'm going to try doing that. If not, I will include it in the comments below when this goes out again for people to rewatch. So whilst I'm posting how
thanks.
people can connect with you, just tell us if there's anything that you're excited about that's coming up in the next, few months. What have you got? Any projects coming up? What would you like to share with everybody?
Well, I'm just one of my dreams that I had was to set up a sound choir. So I have a sound choir which is restarting again after the summer, called Soundsational, which is starting tonight, which is helping people to release anything that's holding them back in their lives through the sound and voice. And what we do is we work together, and I'm looking to take it out over Christmas to literally surround people in healing sounds and to get them involved. So I'm looking really to develop the whole sound aspect to include people, but to be led at the front by the choir, and also to do more of my Soundsational. So it's going to be called Sonic Sas and the Soundsational Choir. So that's the next mission I'm on. So what's up for that? I literally doing things all the time, always doing events. I do run ceremonies for solstices, for equinoxes. I go into the nature, always doing ceremonies so people can connect there if they fancy getting more in connection with nature and giving their gratitude and blessings and helping the earth move around in our calendar. I'm currently booked to go and do a very interesting ceremony down in an art gallery in Soho.
Is that with Mark?
Later on, yeah, with Mark later on this month. I don't know whether you've been invited to go, but yeah. Fabulous. So we've been working on that behind the back. So that'll be interesting to see, because obviously being in London, I've worked a lot in London energetically, doing all sorts. I've been on all sorts of secret missions, which obviously I haven't told people about because they're secret, but they probably will come out as life unfolds. I might have to write my own book about it because it's been so many amazing things. So I'm just really open to being guided in the moment, very much bringing my life into the moment, and open to literally people ask me all the time, can you come and do this, can you come and work on that? So it's mainly working with the voice, sound, ceremony, opening portals at certain energy sites. There's all these things happening on a regular basis, but I do run my workshops. I run a sound and heart circle every other Sunday in Macclesfield, but I'm just looking forward to reaching more people, and for more people to sort of awaken to the power of sound and to the amazing abilities they have with their voice to heal their own bodies through their own voice. So that it really is your divine healing instrument, no matter what anyone's told you about your voice in your life. So that's the mission I continue to be on, and obviously working on myself. That's the main thing, is how can I bring the best energy I can into every space. I'm currently working as a trusted psychic, so I do lots of readings on the phone, on many occasions throughout the week as well. So I'm trying to you've heard of the trusted psychic. So we talked
about it yesterday.
So it's how can you use my abilities to tune in to myself and help other people. That's mainly what I'm all about, and having fun in the time as well. Having lots of fun and meeting lots of wonderful people like yourself, Jill, because it's in a fantastic arena that we're in, isn't it? With so many amazing people. And
we're really lucky that we're so connected.
And there's just so many amazing things out there that there's something for everybody. And it's just our mission mine is to help shift the planet into a more harmonious place, the golden age, as I call it. So let's raise that vibration and work on ourselves, and it spreads outwards and ripples outwards. So everybody has a place and everybody can help. This is the thing. A lot of people are feeling that, what can I do? There's only little me. What can I possibly do? And I'm saying it's amazing what you can do and what we are doing. And just a few of us, I was doing an event for Diwali and last Thursday, and for the new moon in the centre of Manchester. And literally we were creating a pillar of light, reaching right up to the cosmos, because all these places are where people can be guided and they can come, and the light spreads out everywhere. So no matter what, either the smallest little group workshop or whether you're on your own in nature, it's all happening, and it's all giving good energy out to the world. So carry on whatever you're doing, but if you come together with other people, the power is even more. The amplified field, as I call it. So that's what I try and bring together, groups to create a really good energy that we can spread out across this planet.
Well, you and me both, lady. Actually, I'm in Manchester. I'm in Manchester at the moment doing this call, and I'm speaking at an event tomorrow.
Oh, are you?
At the Binks building in Manchester. I don't know if you know where that is. in Thomas Street in Manchester.
The Sphinx building.
The Binks building. It's my friend,
the Binks.
Yeah, Carol's Leading Women in Business event by my friend Carol Fossey, who is a marketing expert. So we're going to be there from, I think it's 12 o'clock till 7 o'clock tomorrow. There's a lunch, a networking lunch, and then I'm sharing a little bit of my story, I think, in the evening from 5 till 7. So if anybody's listening to this and you're in the Manchester area and you'd like to connect with me, I don't know if you can come.
Wow, amazing, Jill. So you're doing amazing stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, so that's quite exciting. So thank you very much, my lovely. I've so enjoyed
You're welcome.
Our conversation. And I hope to see you very, very soon. Your link is on there, the Vision Om Facebook page. So if you want to connect with Sas, go there, because if anything she said has resonated with you. I think we've lost the picture for some time, but we've still got your lovely voice. So that's the most important thing.
Could we just end with an Om and everyone join in who's online?
Let's do it, yeah.
Okay, so after 3, deep breath. Om. Honda kapatuidaya. Esku kapondagada. Ino a Gill. Grata doya.
Thank you, Sam. Namaste.
You. Lovely talking
to you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.